Baker Man is here, and he's going to lock your soul in a sentient talking pie. This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com. Use the code Kenobi at checkout to get 5% off your order and to help support the show. I can't decide if Brenard is either incredibly morbid or incredibly hopeful in what he does for his friends, henchmen, workers and warriors. On one hand, it could be quite positive, quite wholesome, where he saves them from eternal damnation or just the oblivion, the void that is death, by locking their minds and souls into little gingerbread warriors, allowing them to serve further, allowing them to live out a longer, more fulfilling life being made out of a buttered, slightly spiced biscuit. Or alternatively, he's making food-based dreadnoughts. Hulking mechanical constructions made from pastry and short crust, a battle tomb to transport the husks of his former allies and warriors into battle, for one last bit of violent servitude. Even in death, duty does not end. And beyond that, maybe he is evil. Is that a bowl of raisins? You're a monster. Is he a giant, or are those eggs just tiny? I would assume a lot of his deep-seated issues probably come from the fact that his parents called him Brenard. So every time he rings up to insure his car or to talk to the local service provider about the fact the Wi-Fi is not working, he has to say no, not Bernard, Brenard. He has to spell the fucking name out. And each time his sanity frays that one bit more, each time he's closer to going full Michael Douglas. One day he snapped and he cooked one of his co-workers into a souffle. And I know what some of you are thinking. He's literally called the Ginger Sculptor. He's not a normal chef. You can't make loads of jokes and puns about other bits of cookery or bakery. No, actually. Shut the fuck up. That's not because he exclusively works with gingerbread, although he does primarily work with gingerbread. He told me in confidence that it's easier to muffle the screams of an encased soul if he's a little bit of ginger, nutmeg, and some honey. But the name actually refers to his natural hair colour before he turned grey. He was once a fiery, auburn-haired man, but age has not been kind to our hero, or villain, depending on how you look at it. His once vitalised and rather unique look for the plane of Eldraine has waned. And before someone says in the comments that auburn and ginger aren't the same, shh. Fuck off. Legend has it he was once the only redhead on Eldraine. No, seriously, look it up. Go on Skyfall now and have a look. There are no other redheads, no other gingers or auburn-haired people on Eldraine. Brenard Ginger Sculptor, he was the only one. You came here for a deck tech, didn't you? Okay, let's talk about the card itself. Brenard Ginger Sculptor is a 4-mana green, white and blue legendary human artificer, which all but confirms we are never getting a baker or a chef or a cook as a creature type. Hell, even Asmodekadar was a human wizard. This is anti-culinary prejudice at its finest. And as an Englishman, proud of my culture's fine cuisine, like shepherd's pie, and mushy peas, and mashed potato. I don't even like mashed potato. I'm offended. Actually, you know what? Fuck food. It's not fair that other countries get the good shit whilst I'm left sucking on a piece of old lint to my Saturday night takeaway treat. Using Just Eat just to order a box of sawdust and meat drippings.
Please, sir. I want some more.
English culture. There's no finer heritage in the world, am I right? You know what they say? There ain't no flavour in the Union Jack. You can't say you want a bit of salt on your food these days without being sent to jail. This is why I voted out of the EU.
Disclaimer, he didn't.
Brenard reads as follows. Each creature you control that is a food or a golem has +2/+2 and trample. And whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. And if you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1 food golem artifact creature in addition to its other types, and it has the activated ability that you see on food tokens. A 2-mana tap and sack to gain 3 life. Let's unpack that, shall we? The buff to creatures you control is super sweet, both in terms of the power and toughness increase, but perhaps more importantly, the fact that it gives them all some form of evasion. Trample allows you to get past opposing defenders. A bit like, I don't know any quarterbacks. 1 second. Tom Brady? Anyone? It allows you to get past defenders like Tom Brady does when he has to get past the goalie to score a hoop in a game of tennis. I don't know anything about sports. I'm just a cool internet nerd man. Brexit! So straight off the bat, we're slinging in every single conceivable splicer into the deck. Splicers are an ongoing wider cycle of creatures that all generate a golem token and have a passive ability that is applied to all golems you control. In the case of Blade Splicer, it creates a 3/3 golem, and then all golems you control have first strike. The fact that golems are created via an ETB trigger means that when our splicers die, we get to exile them, create them again as their own golems, so they'll benefit from their own buff, and that will then trigger the ETB again, getting us another golem token. In short, we're going to be shitting out golems like a man who's got out on the lash and he's gone to the kebab shop and he's like, yo, I'll have 1 golem shish kebab, please. And then he asks for chilies and chili sauce, and before you know it, next day, he is just shitting his guts out, and there's bolts and there's nuts. Do golems have bolts and nuts? I don't know, but they're defecating and just golems are falling out of their shit pipe. That was ad-libbed. I'm just full of shit, Kai. But not golem shit. This golem production is called synergy. I learned about it in my home economics class. The same way that flour and water, they synergize together to create dough. And dough can be used to produce bread, or it can be used to produce a sex toy. Daddy's got some yeast he needs to unload. Maybe I shouldn't have said that in the video. But the man who wrote the script told me to say it. That man was me. So we need to kill our stuff. So we're going to go with conventional sacrifice outlets of Altar of Dementia, and Astronaut's Altar, and Phyrexian Altar. Milling our opponents and making mana like it's some sort of tasty, tasty cream to fill some buns with. Quark Clan Ironworks is also pretty decent here, as we have an abundance of golems to churn up into paste, and also all the creatures will be artifact food as well. We're also going to look at Blasting Station, a sack outlet that needs to be tapped to sack a creature to ping somebody, but it will untap each time a creature enters the battlefield. So if we were to sack a non-golem creature, it will return as a golem, it will trigger untapping Blasting Station, allow us to tap it again, shoot somebody, and then untap again with a creature that will make off the EDB. So it kind of combos with our replication of splicers. And for that reason, you can also include Grinding Station. It's not in my first draft, but Grinding Station does the same thing, but instead of pinging, it mills people for 3. And because all our creatures EDBing off of the commander's effect is an artifact, and the golems are artifacts, we get to untap it regularly. If you include that alongside Altar of the Brood, you can actually have quite an efficient mill strategy. Altar of Dementia, Altar of the Brood, and Grinding Station. It's funny because milling is how you make flour outside of our weird little nerd wizard poker game in the real world. And flour is used to make biscuits, both the real ones British people eat, and the fake ones Americans cover in lard and pretend are good. With all these ETB effects happening, we're going to want to double some shit, both the ETBs themselves and the tokens. So in our ETB doublers, we have Panharmonicon, Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, and Gandalf the White, all doubling the effects of our artifacts entering the battlefield, and some of our creatures too. Beyond that, we want to double our token centering as well, so Anointed Procession, Doubling Season, and Parallel Lives. 1 token doubler with 1 activation of our commander on a splicer, for example, like Blade Splicer, gives us 2 Blade Splicers, and that gives us 4 Golem tokens. It gets kind of silly quite quickly. An important public service announcement whilst I was getting this video ready and brewing the deck, one of my favourite token payoffs of all time, which is Academy Manufacturer, doesn't actually work. This card creates a replacement effect, so when you make a food artifact golem with your commander, it won't just make that plus the treasure and the clue, instead it will replace it, making a boring old normal food. So instead of a tasty gingerbread biscuit, you get like a fucking ham sandwich or some shit. And then let's look at some other golems that are pretty good. Meteor Golem is a fucking good all-round answer to a lot of the shit your opponents are going to get up to, solid include. Platinum Empyrean is a good way to piss off the table and put a target on your head, so run it at your own risk. Blightsteel Colossus isn't exactly very good in this deck. You probably can cast it because we can get a lot of mana off of our sacrificing of golems and making mana off of our altars and stuff. And it is a golem, so it's +2/+2, but overkill for an infect creature. So go out there and be the mean person you want to see in the world. And then we come to our spiciest golem include, which would be Khan Silver Golem. Firstly, he's a golem, but mainly it's because for 1 mana you can turn any of your food tokens you've created off of other food production facilities in your deck into little 2/2s that can go beating. You can also use it to turn off other people's clues and treasures and kill them. I actually think Khan's a pretty decent commander card, even if he's a little bit slow. The reason this works is that those foods become 2/2s with your commander's passive ability. Secondly, if you include Mycos Inflatus in your deck, you can really upset some people. Khan plus Mycos Inflatus means you can, for 1 mana, blow up a land. You can vindicate a land. So if you have 4 mana available on your following turn, you can go pop, 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 and pop 4 lands. It's going to piss some people off. I don't recommend doing it unless you're playing at a higher power level table or with friends that are okay with this kind of obnoxious shit. And then beyond that, we're coming to the all-star of the deck, March of the Machine. This card is not played enough in Commander as it is, and it's great in this deck. It will transform all of your non-creature food tokens into 2/2s. Just remember, the 4 mana enchantment also kills treasures and food and clues in play without a buff. So that means that A, your clues and your treasures will go, but B, it turns off all your opponent's ones. I actually really like this card for fucking with people trying to play Dockside at some point. Also means that Smothering Tithe doesn't do anything, Tireless Provisioner and so on, but mainly allows you to make a load of food into little 2/2s and march your ham hock, your beef brisket and your pineapple on your pizza as warriors right into your opponent's face. You get to go ring ring, pizzas here and then punch them with it. Beyond all of this, a couple of notable mentions. Jaheira, one of my favourite commanders from recent sets, allows you to tap all of your tokens for green mana. And Rosy Cotton allows you to grow creatures as we shit out a load of tokens. I could go on and on and on about other little fringe bits of tech, but I've only done a first draft of the deck. The link is in the description below if you want to check it out. And if you're looking to pick up any single product or sealed product, but any of the singles from this deck, the link to cool stuff down below will get you 5% off your first order as well. Let me know if I've missed some tech out from this kind of deranged deck, because I'm open to some discussion around how to change it. My last one I did when I did Shalai, I ended up like abandoning my whole plan, just going really CDH with her. I don't think I'll end up doing that with this, but I might be missing some stuff on my first pass of the deck. Either way, let me know in the comment section below, let me know what you thought of the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now.